Now, the court matter involving former Mineral Resources DDG Joel Raphela is standing down, this so he can get a lawyer. Raphela and two others are accused of a myriad of charges involving over 100 million rand in Eskom funds. Govan Whittles is at court to update us on this. Good morning yet again, Govan. Court was indeed very brief. The matter has been stood down to allow the DDG or the former DDG to in fact get legal representation. What's the exact story there?
Thank you. Yes, today's proceedings started in a very confusing way. When the magistrate walked in, the former DDG, Mr. Joel Raphela, was still sleeping in the dock. The two other accused had stood up and wanted to commence, and they had to wake Mr. Raphela up. At that point, they asked him whether his legal representative was here and ready to proceed. He indicated he had called his lawyer, but doesn't know where the lawyer is. And after some toing and froing, where he gave the cell phone number of the legal representative and another legal aid representative walked into court hoping to assist, it was established that he had never called his lawyer. So at this point, he doesn't have legal representation, and because of that, the formal bail application can't be heard. This is really important because even though the state is not opposing bail in this 107 million rand case, they still need a formal affidavit to be filed because this is a Schedule 5 matter. He's facing charges of money laundering, fraud, theft and corruption, and so a formal bail application, even when it's not opposed by the state, does require affidavits to be submitted. The magistrate also says she doubts he'll be able to testify. She seemed to question his condition this morning. Although Mr. Raphela told the court that he's fine, he wasn't able to answer many of the questions. Appearing delirious, dazed and confused, not able to engage with the court. He also had to be helped down the stairs back into the holding cells after this matter was stood down by the magistrate. So this moment they're trying to find him some legal representation. Then he'll compile a few affidavits, obviously stating his details, personal details, where he works, and then a formal bail application should commence later this afternoon. Some of the representatives of the other accused visibly irritated this morning by the hold-up and have asked for this matter to proceed as soon as possible. There's just no indication of when that will be. It could be in the next few minutes, or we could only go after lunch, all depending on how quickly Mr. Joel Raphela, the former Deputy Director General of the Department of Mineral Resources, is able to get some legal representation and formalize those affidavits.
No, it's very concerning. I mean, it's one thing to fall asleep while on the dock, while waiting for court proceedings to get underway, but it's another for your lawyer to also not be found. So clearly a lot of confusion there. But insofar as the other co-accused are concerned, do we have their identity or at least their link in this case? Because I'm sure they're equally frustrated.
They are indeed, and yes, we do have their names. Ms. Ronica Raghavan is a former director at Tegeta. She's being charged with money laundering, fraud and corruption in this case. And then we have Ms. Pushpaveni Govender, who's a former shareholder at Optimum Coal Mine. This relates to a 107.5 million rand mine rehabilitation project. And at the Department of Mineral Resources, the former Deputy Director General, Mr. Joel Raphela, was responsible for minerals regulation. This has to do with the permits and the approval of the mine rehabilitation project at Optimum. And of course, this follows an investigation by the Investigative Directorate, whose representatives are in court. Should be noted that the state has also sent two senior advocates to prosecute this case, indicating the seriousness with which they view it. But we're expecting to get more details on exactly what the scheme was and how they're accused of being corrupt and stealing money from the state in that formal bail application.
All right, we'll leave it there, Govan. That's eNCA reporter Govan Whittles in court for us.